welcome to the Monday edition of Talking Football, where we cover everything happening in the Premier League, and there's so much to talk about. Here we in the studio to do it, our football analysts, Yoav Borovich and Michael Friedman. And on our show today, we look at league leaders Arsenal, who lose some ground in their title quest. We'll ask if Leicester will give them a fight all the way to the end. And we will also congratulate Louis van Gaal after gaining another week at the office. All this and much more coming up. Let's get started. We begin with leaders Arsenal, who walked away with a point from their match in Stoke. Maybe they should actually feel lucky. Manchester City, Manchester United and Chelsea, among others, lost there, so a goalless draw is not too bad, especially with the many chances Stoke created. Manager Arsene Wenger knows it could have been worse.
Looking at the history we have here, it is a positive result. Looking at the results of the other teams who play at the top, it's a positive result. But overall, we missed 2 points today.
Yoav, are they convincing enough? Are they good enough?
I think they are good enough. I think Arsenal is number one in the league for a reason. They've been playing well. They know how to bounce back after bad results. However, we expect more consistency than Arsenal. One thing that was bothering Arsenal for so long is the defensive midfield, the defense, the goalkeeping. This year they have Petr Cech, one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time in the Premier League. They have a better defensive game. They have also a good offensive game. Olivier Giroud is having a great season. Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil with 16 assists. They have the capabilities. They have the quality. However, it's going to be very tough against Manchester City that showed us they can beat Crystal Palace 4-0.
And we heard, Michael, we heard Wenger saying, well, it's not too bad. We got a point from Stoke. I don't see Jose Mourinho speaking like this. I don't see Alex Ferguson speaking like this.
It's really not a strong enough of a result for them. Yes, going to Stoke is a tough place to battle. They've lost many games in the past and drawn plenty. But for Wenger, for the top of the Premier League, they need to look at every game as a win. And this was a loser's mentality. To say, it was okay, that was fine because it was away at Stoke, that we'll be happy with that point. But it shouldn't be enough. This is one of the reasons why they've struggled and haven't won the Premier League in over a decade. And if they want to be the champions, they need to be consistent and win game in, game out.
No, we'll see how they progress from here. And very few people thought that by mid-January, the closest rival to the team at the top would be Leicester. But 22 matches into the season, that is exactly the case. Claudio Ranieri's team does not let go, and they can even feel unlucky with the result in Birmingham. The visitors took the lead in the first half and could have made it 2-0, but Riyad Mahrez missed a penalty. Aston Villa got a late equalizer to make it 1-1. Despite losing 2 points, Claudio Ranieri sees the positive sides.
And we are very sad, but also I say every time to the players, if we make the performance, after the result is not important for me. The performance was good because we played well in the first half, and the second half was a battle, and we played in the battle. It was good.
And Yoav, we can give Ranieri the credit that we don't give to Wenger because they're a surprise. We thought they'd be gone by the Christmas frenzy. They're there. We thought they'd be gone by the time they played 2 games a week. They're there. We're in mid-January. How far can this go?
It's quite interesting and quite surprising, as you mentioned, because nobody expected Leicester to be number 2 or with the same points like number 1 in the league after Christmas. So this is just an unbelievable story. They're having a great season by Vardy, Mahrez, Okazaki, and Kante. And Drinkwater as well. A lot of players having a very good season, but going to Villa Park and drawing 0-0 with Aston Villa, who is ranked last in the league, is not a good result to any team, and definitely not to Leicester. They lost 2 points. As Ranieri said, he's sad about that.
And one thing, though, Ranieri said again and again, we're not putting Vardy or Mahrez to sale. With many teams, I'm sure, wanted to get them. Leicester needs the money. That's a statement saying these are big stars. We're keeping them at home, at least for now.
It's a huge statement, and it's extremely important for Leicester and for the Premier League's, title race, because Leicester essentially, they have these superstars like Vardy, and he is essential for them. He's been playing sensational thus far, and for this team to go far, they want to hold on to all their players. I imagine, they'll get through the winter transfer window, but most likely next summer things will change. Big players will go, and unfortunately, that's how it works in the Premier League. Rich clubs want to take those players.
First of all, I think it's great that they're staying with the club. It would have been horrific to lose one of of those players. But I wouldn't be surprised if we'll see Vardy next season playing with Leicester. With Mahrez, I think he'll be moving on. But with Vardy, you never know if it's a one-hit wonder. You know, the guy scored so many goals. He didn't score in the last 5 or 6 games. Let's see what he's doing till the end of the season. He's already having a remarkable season, obviously. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Leicester. I think he should be staying there.
Hope so.
Great story of Leicester this is. And just a point behind the two leaders are Manchester City, who had a very good time this weekend, not only because they saw the two opponents at the top drop valuable points. A week after they were unable to score against Everton, the citizens crashed Crystal Palace at the Etihad Stadium. The difference from the previous game was that they got the early goal. Once they opened the score, it all became much easier. Kun Aguero then was on target twice, and David Silva added one more. 4-0 was the final score. Manager Manuel Pellegrini knows exactly what it is that made it so smooth this time.
Yes, I think that was very important to score the first goal. Of course, when we are able to score the first goal, we know that we are going to have more space. And our team normally that is used to play against 8 or 9 players behind the ball. We normally score goal. So of course, with space, we are more dangerous.
You have many people, you too, you consider Manchester City as the big favorite, even though they're third. They do look better than Arsenal, than Leicester?
I think they have more offensive talent, and also their defense is pretty good, especially if Kompany is not injured. They have a good goalkeeper, good back four. I wouldn't say they're big favorites, but I do consider them to be favorites. But it's going to be very tough with Arsenal. It's going to be very, very interesting. Also, you know, this league, it's so wonderful this year because so many teams are in the chase. I wouldn't even eliminate Tottenham Hotspur. I think Pochettino is doing a remarkable job, maybe the best job a manager is doing besides Ranieri this season. So Tottenham are still there. United might be bouncing back. You know, Leicester is in the hunt. So I think City has the most talent. I think they're the best team eventually, but it can go either way.
And Michael Pellegrini, again, we discuss this all the time with this Guardiola cloud over his head. It's difficult to understand.
But he's keeping focus. He's not letting any outside things get in the way because he knows, like, listen, you look at this team. They've won 2 out of the last 4 Premier League championships. So this is a strong side, a strong team. He's a great manager there. And with Pep possibly coming in, he's not letting anything influence. He knows that Pep would be a great addition to the club if they decided to let him go. But right now, he's doing everything possible to keep calm, keep his players motivated, and he knows it's a long haul.
I think what happened with Pep Guardiola is a really, really, really disturbing thing. Pep Guardiola should not have gone out to the media and say, I will be leaving Bayern Munich next year. I want to coach in the Premier League. Because when he says, I want to coach in the Premier League, everybody thinks he's going to Manchester City. Even if he doesn't go, it doesn't matter because people think that's the perception that he's going to Manchester City. Now, people think Pellegrini is out the door. Why will the players listen to Pellegrini when he's out the door?
Coach, not the
but
one.
Pellegrini is such a special coach and probably such a special person. And it's a credit also to the Manchester City players that they're still playing hard, they're playing well. I really like Pellegrini. If I'm Manchester City, obviously Pep Guardiola is a bigger name. He might also be a better manager. But to do it in this fashion, to let Guardiola come out and say, I'm leaving, this is something that Manchester City should not be part of in any way, and I hope for them that it won't really damage their season.
So we'll surely follow Manchester City, and there are 2 giants that most people are not talking about when it comes to the title race, and judging by their match in Anfield, we can clearly understand why. There were some epic battles in the past between Liverpool and Manchester United, the 2 most decorated teams in England. A far cry from what we saw this time. The home team was perhaps a bit better, but the winner are the visitors who walked away with the 3 points. Wayne Rooney volleyed in after Fellaini headed a corner kick into the crossbar. Manager Louis van Gaal knows how important these 3 points are.
I think this game shall give a big boost to the players, to the fans, to everybody in the environment of Manchester United. And we have to continue, of course. That's not so easy. And we have seen that also today. But we can do it.
Michael, no one denies the fact that Manchester United are not a fun team to watch. And yet, they're into the 4th round in the FA Cup, as terrible as that game against Sheffield United was. They're 5th in the Premier League, only 2 points away from Champions League qualification. It's not too bad. Yes, it's not the great Manchester United, but it's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but it's not too good either. This team essentially has so much money, so many great stars. You know, they have so much to do well with the Premier League, and they're not doing strong enough. You know, being knocked out of the Champions League, it shows what they're struggling with, and they're going to focus everything domestically on the home front. But really, you know, this team should be doing better. Right now, you know, they're a boring team to watch. They're getting, you know, decent results, but it's not good enough for Van Gaal, and he'll be lucky to continue to keep his job as well.
Liverpool can feel somewhat unlucky. They were not bad, especially in the first half, and manager Jurgen Klopp believes they should have gotten more out of this game.
I think Man United in this moment, if they would talk about the performance, they would have to say, okay, it was not that good, but we won, so they are really happy. And we played better, but feel really frustrated, of course, because of the result.
You have Jurgen Klopp surely made this team more interesting, a sexier team, the contrary of Manchester United. On the other hand, if you come into a season where the maximum you can get is a ticket to the Europa League, what's the point of changing the team? Bring him in the summer. Let him build the team.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think that bringing Jurgen Klopp in the mid-season was such a great idea, unless they felt that if they won't bring him then, they won't be having him in the summer. But I think they would have him because he wouldn't be coaching elsewhere, most probably. But Jurgen Klopp is a very big name. He gets very, very big money. He gets about $10 million a year. Jurgen Klopp so far doesn't succeed more than Brandon Rodgers, who failed and was fired. Jurgen Klopp, usually you see him smiling. Yesterday, you don't see him smiling, although Liverpool were not as bad as Man U, but it's not enough because Liverpool are not good enough. And what's the problem is that Jurgen Klopp doesn't play with enough strikers, and also the team is very fragile defensively. Also, the goal they conceded yesterday was a funny goal. You know, Rooney was all by himself at the rebound after Fellaini heading the ball to the crossbar. So far, Jurgen Klopp is not succeeding in Liverpool, but he will be there next year. He will probably be there even the following year. He will have the time, but he'll need to bring in a lot of good new players, and I think he needs to bring in at least 2 or 3 superstars. Without that, Liverpool will not be competing for championships.
I agree. So far, it does not look very good. While Manchester United and Liverpool seem to be out of the race, there is one team who still hopes to catch a train. That is Tottenham, who are going through a great season. They beat Sunderland 4-1 at home. Eriksen, Dembala, and Harry Kane were on target for Spurs. West Ham lose ground in the battle for the Champions League next season as they're defeated in Newcastle, and Southampton beat West Brom at home 3-0. Arsenal is still on top with 44 points, but it's only goal difference that puts them above Leicester in second. Manchester City closed the top 3 list with 43 points. Further down, fighting for Champions League spots are Tottenham with 39 points, 2 more than Manchester United in 5th. West Ham are down to 6th with 35 points. The race at the top is very interesting, but the biggest story this weekend came far from the top. It was the match between Chelsea and Everton and the very late drama. It started at the beginning of stoppage time when the visitors scored to make it 3-2. The referee added 7 minutes, but in the 8th minute, John Terry, who was clearly offside, got the equalizer, leaving Everton and manager Roberto Martinez very upset.
We had to play 7 minutes of injury time, and the last action happens in 7 minutes and 51 seconds, and it's not 5 or 10 seconds, it's 51 seconds over, nearly enough a minute. And John Terry in the final 2 just 2 yards offside. So refereeing wise is you can't justify, you cannot explain that level, and it cost us 2 points, but you can imagine the players are feeling really down, but they got no reason to feel that way because those 2 points being taken away from us, the performance was good enough to win the football game.
Michael, first of all, we have to say Roberto Martinez is absolutely right. They were robbed in this case. We're hearing a lot of complaints from managers in England. Is that because the referees are not good enough, or is it just a way to justify bad results?
Well, it's not only in the Premier League. You know, you see it in the Champions League, but I think that the Premier League managers are more outspoken. And despite the FA...
Jose Mourinho is gone, and we're still hearing that.
And despite the FA continuously fining managers for saying anything, you know, that's bad about the referees, they're still outspoken, they're still saying things. But it's a bigger problem because obviously these referees, they're human. They make mistakes. And they change things around where they have goal line technology, which helped advance and to prevent these big blunders. But they need to go a step further. They need to fix it because anytime there's a goal scoring, anytime someone scores, they need to look back at it and make sure that he wasn't offsides because it destroys the game. And then you see time and time again, coaches like Martinez looking back and saying, well, we should have won and we were robbed.
I totally agree with Michael. I think European soccer should take an example from American football.
Where we?
They should go to the videotape. They should look at
They
should look at the evidence, and they should make the right decisions.
A lot to look for in these cases. Michael Friedman, Yoav Borovich, thank you very much. And that's it for this edition. Join us again tomorrow when we take a look at the action from La Liga and Serie A. Till then, have a great day. Bye-bye.